Hello Starseeds, welcome to Source Energetics. Today we have a pick a card reading for the dragon year that is here through this portal, and it brings with it a tremendous influx of new frequencies, new timelines, new vibratory templates. And so I would love to be of service to you by kind of reading into what energies are coming through for you and your personal timeline so that I could be of highest assistance to your navigation through this path. There are powerful, powerful themes that are clicking in through this cycle. If you would like to skip ahead to the reading, you can go ahead and do that with the timestamps below. Or if you want to stick around a little bit to hear about the energies, you can go ahead and stick around. So with this dragon year, what the dragon medicine brings as an archetype of energy, it brings with it some of the most primordial energies of your soul, ancient magical timelines of your soul. Your deepest gifts and abilities may come online this year. And with the dragon, it actually brings together your pranic tube and your spinal column. The pranic tube is the central column and the source of your ka body, which is your energy body. And when that clicks in embodiment with your spinal column, which is definitely a portal through all of your genetic system to every level of dimensions possible, is running through your spinal column. And when that merges and really aligns with the pranic tube, it brings together all of the work that you've been doing in your entire incarnation, all the inner work that you've done. This is a moment of truth where if it has been genuine, if it has been authentic, true work, rather than as just an aesthetic or as some sort of a hobby or as some sort of a distraction, then it's not going to show. But if you have been working on your consciousness and your evolution and your true spiritual path, this is the year that everything will kind of come together. And actually, you don't have to do anything more. You're actually going to witness the entire environment kind of conspire to materialize everything to happen through you. So what you'll begin to remember is a field of grace, where it's a conscious vibratory field that you get to choose. And you're going to actually be taught how to vibrate in that. You really don't have to do anything more. The alignment has already been calibrated. You have been aligned for this. This is the pivotal time in the moment of history of your personal incarnation where everything has been put together. It's like you've been building a track of dominoes, and today, or this pivotal cycle in time and space through this dragon year, is where the first domino will be clicked through, making all of the other lined up dominoes just fall together in grace. And you've done the work, and if you've done the work, you know. And you're gonna feel like you are effortlessly in flow and alignment with everything unfolding, yet you're not really gonna need to do anything more. Hold your frequency, hold your belief systems in place, and recall the higher self in the core of your existence, and allow the vibratory illusions of the separated self to dissolve as this happens. The way that the year is going to unfold for you, devoted spiritual seeker, or the spiritual path warrior, or the spiritual path priestess, gods and goddesses incarnate in human form, you divine human, you are going to viscerally experience what it means that you are one with the universe. It's not something that you can deny anymore, because of the way that things will unfold. True dragon medicine of the cosmic dragon also brings with it Christ consciousness. And Christ consciousness is just one pathway of looking at this unity consciousness, or it could be called the heart consciousness. And there are multiple different tunnels through to reaching this one bandwidth or this one core essence of existence itself, in this unified field that is the true purpose, so to speak, of existence. And the dragon medicine is intricately connected with Christ consciousness, which is one very specific tunnel to arrive at this unity consciousness. But if you are listening to this video, you may be initiated to really learn this unity consciousness or non-dual consciousness. You can call it Atmanim, you can call it enlightenment. There are no words to really describe this, but you may be learning to arrive in multiple different levels through multiple different tunnels. And the strangest part of it all is that depending on how you've approached to arrive there, it has a little bit of a different undertone, which is strange because we all arrive at the same place, but depending on how you choose to arrive there, there's a diverse experience, which itself is a paradox of existence. In any case, that was a little spiel about this dragon year opening up. You're gonna see quantum leaps this year. This is the year that the quantum leaps happen. And if you have been attempting to materialize your quantum leaps and it hasn't worked so far, and part of the reason for that has been due to the collective timelines, this is the year that you're going to find that it gracefully opens up for you to actually experience this. Okay, so please go ahead and choose your pile, dragon number 1, dragon number 2, and dragon number 3, and I'll see you in your reading. Hello, dragon number 1, dragons, number 1 dragons. Let's get into your reading. So first and foremost, the dragon that you chose is the black dragon of Saturn. So with that energy of Saturn, it shows me that this year, you're gonna be effortlessly embodying this divine discipline. And it may not be what you think of as discipline, because as humans, we tend to think of discipline as something that is very, very strict and focused around material things. For example, like discipline in doing hard work, or discipline in eating really healthy, and discipline in tracking the time, tracking your finances, blah, 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 blah. And yes, that could be it on a surface level. You could find yourself effortlessly grooving in a mastery of discipline, which is such a gift. Imagine discipline just comes to you naturally, like you're breathing, like you're sleeping, like discipline just comes naturally. That is a dream gift, because wherever you set your mind to, discipline is one of the pathways that ensures the materialization of what you have set your mind to. But this goes in a more advanced, complex level when you apply it to the energetics. So imagine you're disciplined in always centering to your highest level consciousness. You're disciplined in keeping your mind organized into a conducive and harmonic frequency. You're disciplined in keeping your emotional field clear of intrusions. You're disciplined in finding your center. You're disciplined in vibrating in your heart. You're disciplined in your spiritual path. So I don't just see this as just a physical discipline, but more so energetic. It's like, imagine you're disciplined into listening and aligning with your intuition. I mean, far beyond just material levels of discipline, this is really profound. And I see that you are actually on that path. And this doesn't feel like it takes effort. You're just naturally doing it. And as a matter of fact, this has already been occurring for years for you. Like, whether you realize this or not about yourself, you've been really disciplined into maintaining your consciousness on a very authentic and devoted level to the true source of reality, for the true higher path, to your higher self, to your soul, to your heart. And so all of this discipline that you've carried so far, it's created a habit loop. Like, you are now habitually disciplined into a higher bandwidth of consciousness, into soul's evolution's path, completely aligned to yourself. And sometimes you may not even realize that you are so devoted to align with your higher self, because it just comes so natural to you. But because you've been really devoted to this, and sometimes you may feel even like you've steered away from the path, and sometimes it may feel like you've kind of calibrated out of alignment. But what mattered the most was that you were able to actually see that, first of all, that derail was always part of the picture, and that was meant to happen so that you can always kind of navigate back to the central core and not being judgmental to these other states, because it's not the true goal to always vibrate in some pristine state at all times. But the truer goal is to be able to embrace when it's not in that state. But regardless, you have this very core pillar of this devotional discipline that you've had towards your true evolution, towards your soul, towards your higher self alignment, that this will essentially become second nature to you this year. It's just aligned. And you may not even realize that the actions that you're naturally taking, the decisions that you're naturally making, are actually aligned. And it just becomes more and more and more aligned to your soul. Every single decision that you make becomes so calibrated to your soul. It's become a habit, and it's just going to amplify throughout this year. And you may wonder, like, what good does that do for me? Maybe you're wondering that. Maybe you're like, that's the most amazing thing. It actually is the most amazing thing. It is a blessing. It means like you are so aligned that you cannot steer out of alignment. I feel like you just can't steer out of alignment. And that's a dangerous thing to say to some people, but you're not those people. You are actually so aligned. You've been so aligned. And alignment just has become a second nature to you. Alignment to your higher self, alignment to your soul, and attunement to the universe, it's just become second nature to you. And when you're that aligned, the universe becomes your skin. You're gonna see how much that just kind of fruitions into your harvest in terms of what it does for you. All right, let's see. Taking deep breaths. I'm also hearing, it's interesting because Saturn is also associated with time, and I'm hearing that this year you'll really restructure how time works for you. I feel like sometimes you even procrastinate on certain things, but there's always a divine reason. And I feel this kind of this relationship with time that you have, it's really up levels, and you're gonna see the true nature of time and how that applies to create a vessel for your soul to materialize. And you're getting this profound upgrades around time. There's the Star card, which is healing. There is the Page of Wands, Seven of Swords, and the King of Wands. Let me get some clarifiers. Oh. So you're healing from a lot of addictions this year. And I feel like some of your addictions, your deepest addictions, have been this internal thought scatters and thought loops. And this is like, could be seen as an energy of people gossiping, but I see this more like it's your own energy. It's like you're gossiping about yourself in your own head. And believe it or not, you actually gossip about other people in your own head, even if it's not to like other people, but you essentially have this thought stream, and it's something that you've been conditioned with. It's not you. It's like this just egoic conditioning that you received, that you are judging, like criticizing yourself. First of all, it's like really to yourself. I feel like the person that you are is so far beyond who you think you are. And I think that you do know the extent, and you go through these cycles where you perceive yourself with a high level of truth, and then it falls into this other part of you where you're like judging yourself on behalf of other people. It's almost like you self-actualize certain perspectives about you, and you self-actualize. When I say self-actualize, it's like you create these conditions in which, first of all, you tend to think that other people don't like you that much when they actually don't have that feeling at all. You feel like you're not welcome in some communities, or that like you're not, it feels like you sometimes feel unworthy of taking up space in a way that you do. And it's just because of this really outdated self-perception that you have, and this constant chatter in your mind about yourself that is essentially talking behind your own back. And I see this as something that you're really healing through this year. But I don't see this as like a threatening level of, energy. It's just something insidiously draining, where you are constantly self-depreciating. And I feel like you deserve a lot more credit for the quality of the person that you are. And this type of gossip energy, it can't help but direct to other people again. So I don't really see you talking about other people to other people, but it's just you judge them a little bit in one way or another. And that is what is leaving your field. We have you're actually going to start on this new journey, and this is a new creative endeavor that is very divinely orchestrated in your work. And the reason why you are healing through this energy of self-depreciation is because when you are going to start executing this work, that vibratory frequency of the person who is channeling this divinely ordained work, and this is like true service to the collective, it's just gonna kind of burst through the person who is thinking all these things about yourself and thinking that you're not good enough. I see these patterns like running through your life for like a good chunk of the years, where you feel like you're not good enough to do certain things, or some people like kind of put you down for the things that you would create, and that's not gonna fly through when you are channeling this divine work, and it's this new passion that you have. So just tune into all the times that you have tried to create something, or that you try to learn something, maybe try a new creative endeavor, and whenever you felt like you have to stop or that you're not good enough, it has no relevance to what is actually now being divinely orchestrated. So even if you look at relationships, imagine all the relationships that you have to learn lessons with, but when it's with the right person, it's just the whole different result. It's a whole different level of dynamics that you get to have with the relationship. And the same thing goes for your creative endeavors. When something is aligned and when something is channeled through your higher self, and this is your service, the results will respond to that alignment. And this alignment is something that is really highlighted through your whole year, is around genuine, true alignment to your soul. I see also this energy of just so much thinking, overthinking, over worrying, and I see this as like thought loops of energies that are basically like, it's like crippling. It's like an overwhelming amount of thoughts, and yet you have this archetype that is coming online within you that is so far beyond these thoughts. So if there was just one thing that I would recommend you to do, is to clear your thoughts. Journaling is obviously a great way to clear your thoughts. Just, I feel like you have so much thoughts going on in your mind. So if I have one key advice for you, when you're channeling this divine work, right? You're honestly gonna begin channeling this divine work somewhere in the beginning of this year of the dragon. So like in the next couple of months, I even see you beginning to channel this work. And then remember I said this, there's gonna be, as soon as you start this, it's gonna go well, and somewhere in the middle, you're gonna get a bunch of thoughts, judging yourself, wanting to stop. You're literally gonna want to stop. You're gonna think like, who am I to do this? Is this even good enough? You're gonna start comparing. Just know that I said this, and recall this moment when I'm gonna tell you those thoughts are exactly the addictions that you are healing this year. It's none of your business if it's good enough or not. That's not up for you to decide. It's none of your business if you think it's better than somebody else's work or not. Just, it is what it is. Your job is to do, is to complete the channeling of this work. Don't think about the end results. Just channel the work for the sake of creation. You are a conduit of this work. So whichever way that it comes up to you, and what you're gonna do is, maybe you're gonna stop, right? Maybe you're gonna stop for a few days. Maybe you're gonna stop for a couple of weeks, but just get back to it. Just, it's not a big deal. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna learn the frequency of the voices that are this self-sabotaging, overthinking thoughts. You're gonna learn what that feels like. You're gonna get to know it. And what you're gonna do is, when you get to know it and you learn the frequencies and you know what it does to your body, you know what it does to your thoughts, and then you're gonna breathe through it. And then you're gonna welcome and accept it. And you're gonna work through it by feeling it and just going ahead anyway to do what you're gonna do. Once you acquaint yourself with what these thoughts feel like, these thoughts feel like, and it's gonna kind of spiral you in a state of, whether it's apathy, hopelessness, or unworthiness. It's fine. Just breathe through all of those, and eventually gather all of those things, pick it up, and continue on to do the work that you're here to do. Continue to show up in the way that you're showing up. And I want to tell you the kind of remedy or the medicine for these types of thoughts that are kind of, it's insidious. It's always playing in the background somewhere. It's just, I believe it's a lot of this for a lot of you came from like a feminine figure, or like your motherline, basically. Ancestrally speaking, there's just this criticism, this judgment that really stems from this feminine energy of your lineage, which is really specific, but the genuine alignment to your heart and your soul, this genuine effort to align with your higher self, that eventually will dissolve all of these levels of you that feels unworthy, that feels judgmental, and you just release all of that. I feel like you're gonna learn so much about yourself, and there's these thoughts, again, these thoughts that continue to kind of latch onto you, you're gonna find a clear pathway through them. You're gonna find a very clear pathway through them this year. Then we see here really profound cards of Temperance and Judgment, and also the Fool. So it feels like by the end of this, I would say like the latter end, the last 3 to 4 months of this year, you're not even gonna recognize yourself, and you're actually gonna, these consistent thoughts that you had about like, am I good enough? Is this work that I'm putting out, is it good enough? All of this will kind of become irrelevant, because what I see you is you're gonna be downloading or activating this entirely new archetype. It's like this avatar of yourself, like this version of yourself that is so genuinely who you are at your core, at your soul, and it's coming online, it's activating. And this version of yourself, it's like angelic version of yourself. It doesn't even vibrate in the level where you could be affected by those thoughts. And this is literally coming online. And it's actually affecting your timelines even right now. Like, you actually feel this angelic aspect of yourself and this like really pristinely high level version of yourself and your version of your consciousness, that all of these thoughts, like, and actually this thoughts, it actually includes indecision. Like, there are some things in your life that you just waste away your mental energy being indecisive about things that don't even really matter at the end of the day. I want you to know that when there's a decision to be made, or when there's like something that needs to clarify itself, or some sort of like a turn that your life is about to make, and it feels like you have to do all the work, it's never you that has to do the work. It's really an illusion or delusion that people think that they have to make all these choices and make things happen. I mean, it's a really cute delusion, but at the end of the day, it is so much greater than who you think you are and what you think you're capable of doing in the scope of your actions. Like, it is fine to take responsibility for your life and direct it the way you want to direct it, but it's basically like looking at a sailboat versus an ocean. The ocean is a bigger picture. Yes, the sailboat gets to sail, but the ocean is the ocean, and that's the universe. And whatever it is, don't focus too much on what the details are going to be, but focus on the frequency of your vibratory beingness. When you focus on the vibratory frequencies of your existence, everything else will warp itself around that. So whenever you feel like you have to make all of these things happen, you have to make all of these decisions, you have to take all of these actions, focus on the vibratory frequency of your being. Focus on aligning with your heart, soul, and higher self, with your body, mind, and spirit. And the rest will align with that. Okay? Let's get into some oracle cards. Spiritual calling, divine protection, breakthrough moment. We have the breakthrough moment. You're going to have a breakthrough moment. You're going to have a breakthrough moment this year. Manifestation vortex, beliefs makes manifest, thoughts attract and create. So with this manifestation vortex and the breakthrough, you're going to have a breakthrough in the way that your manifestations show up in your life. And part of this is actually in the knowing that it's not you doing the manifestation alone. It's, yes, you're a pivotal part of the experience because you're the central experience that you are having through this incarnation. But there's a greater force that is awakening in your ability to see through the illusion of being separated from the universe. you are this, even the things that you were hoping to manifest, it's not your desires. It is a greater calling of the universe actualizing itself. It is a greater calling of the planetary consciousness manifesting itself. And your job really is to see that bigger picture. And when you see that bigger picture, things happen for you on your behalf. And your role is to see that bigger picture. It's not about you. And you're gonna have this breakthrough with how things show up. And a lot of the things that you're calling in, it's taken its time because of the divine protection. You had to kind of really train yourself to a level of consciousness where you're gonna be able to handle what's coming in longevity and in flexibility of adaptability. When you are in alignment with your soul and you call in desires, and these are higher level, complex, like manifestations that are multifaceted, multidimensional, it will be its own living, breathing being. And it kind of really requires a high level of consciousness to be able to birth these into existence. And I believe that's what you've been training to do, is not just flat out create something on the third dimension, but you've been learning to create multi-dimensional manifestations. I'm actually going to be, well, I haven't announced this at all, but I'm going to be teaching about these higher dimensional manifestations. In the next couple of months, I'll be launching it, but it's something that I've been really delving into. We have Follow Your Heart, Truth Prevails, Ishtar, and the final card we have Isis, Reclaiming Magic. It's quite insane how much Egyptian energy you have. So you're clearing a lot of ancient Egyptian timelines. And I believe that I see you actually traveling quite a bit through different grids, and this might be coming up in this year. If not in this year, it's like the seeds are planted this year. You're gonna be shown the various different places. Like, you're definitely a grid worker, and you're actually going to manifest in this lifetime a way that you can actually sustain your well-being through all these travels. And grid work, it's something that is, you might think like, how is this part of my purpose? But you're gonna be rewarded for the grid work that you do. You just have to understand how valuable it is, and you have to understand that you're worthy of being compensated for the grid work that you're doing. You're not gonna be literally paid out of thin air for doing the grid work, because there's just easier ways for the earth to actually reward you through other channels without breaking your entire conscious mind complex. But you're gonna actually find that when you really focus on these levels of grid work and start to listen to the grids of the earth and really commune and go where you're guided to go and do the work that you're gonna do with the grid, and it doesn't have to be like really fancy stuff. Grid work, people think it might be like, it requires some sort of special techniques. No, you just arrive where you're called, time and space. You arrive at the grid and you center yourself, ground yourself, connect. That's it. I mean, yes, it can go so much further. There's always themes that you're working through in your personal life that kind of, it always parallels with the grid. So for example, let's say that you're moving through like a heart expansion and you're at a specific grid line. This heart expansion that you're having in your personal life is directly linked to the actual grid. Imagine if you're doing some ancestral work in another grid, and you're doing personal ancestral work, like you're working with your lineage, genetic lineage, you're having these breakthroughs. Well, that's actually have a very direct parallel to the grid that you're on. We have El Moria, Spiritual Force Field. There's a lot of cards that are protected. You're being very protected at this moment. Literally everything, how everything is unfolding in this year, like every single detour or every single path that is opening up, every single minor details is actually this huge influx of protection. Like, you're being so protected for various reasons. Remember that. very, very, very protected at the moment. I see you, like in about 4 months, you're gonna see why. 4 months from you watching this video. We have the pack, inner work, deep connection, soul tribe. You're gonna meet your soul family this year. You're gonna meet a couple of very significant people in your life this year. It could be mentors, actually, like some mentors that are gonna be very profound, whether it's like virtual or in person. It could be some friends, it could be some intimate partner, but you're absolutely gonna be meeting your pack. And I see about like 3 or 4 very significant connections that you're gonna be making this year. And roots, you're gonna find your roots. You're gonna find your kind of, first of all, you're gonna unlock your legacy. Whatever it is that you're here to do, you're gonna unlock major pieces of your legacy. And you're gonna actually activate some traditions that you are here to activate and innovate. So when you are this high level starseed and you get initiated into a specific tradition, often it is innovated through your unique blueprint. So I see you actually coming into alignment with a couple of different traditions or ancestral lineages in spirituality that is going to make a profound impact on your life. We have illusion, uncertainty, narcissism. So what this card actually showing me, all those like lower field frequency thoughts that came up in the previous spread for you, like all those thoughts and stuff like that, it actually came from like an narcissistic person in your past. Could have been any of your parents, it could have been any of your caretakers, it could have been any of your siblings or close people in your life who had this narcissism pattern. Could have been a lover that you had who had this narcissistic pattern. But that's where you essentially picked up this it's like this dark energy web in your mental. It's like an intrusion, it's like an overlay of curse or black magic that is lifting. So it actually made you very uncertain about yourself, made you very uncertain about your existence. This is what you're healing from. This is what you're freeing yourself from. You're gonna actually gain confidence like you have never had before. Confidence is the key thing that you're unlocking this year. You're gonna become like not egotistical, but genuinely confident. And that changes everything about a person's energy. Like confidence glows you up. Confidence leads you to the right path. Confidence, it's a portal to a whole new way of being. And that's what you're actually unlocking. All right, so that was your reading for this dragon year. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for your presence. If you enjoy my readings, please check out my Patreon, where there's like literally hundreds of exclusive readings and activations and light language. It's one of the easiest ways to work with me deeper if you enjoy like my transmissions and my healing work. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye. Hello, if you chose dragon number 2, this is actually the earth dragon. It's the nature dragon. So first and foremost, this year, you're going to become very much in tune with the earth and nature. You're actually going to get to know the planet Earth and her genuine frequencies and her higher level frequencies more than you've ever thought was possible before. It's like you get really intimate with the spirit of the earth and the soul of the earth. And especially I see like this Gaia Sophia template of the higher kind of dimensional earth, and you're actually one of the stewards of the golden age consciousness of the golden earth. So the earth has golden timelines that are anchoring through. You're one of the sacred holders of this golden earth, and you're gonna actually become such good friends with the earth. And you may think you know the planet Earth now. Wait till the end of the year. It's like you're gonna get to really know her personality, and her gifts and her magic. And when you become this intimate with the earth, one of the biggest blessings is that you'll become so comfortable with your physical existence here. You're gonna become very grounded. very, very grounded, and you're gonna be so safe and supported on the planet. This brings abundance. This brings health. This brings beauty. This brings presence. This brings your ability to actually anchor into your highest timelines here on this planet. And the beautiful thing is, like, I think you're learning to sync in tune with the Earth's rhythm. And every time you actually even think about the Earth, she kind of clears your energy and your aura and your thoughts and your emotions and any blockages. And it becomes like second nature to you to actually do this. It becomes like second nature to you. And you're gonna begin this really profound co-creation with Earth, that you are laying out these grids to the new Earth through this cycle. So, of course, some of the advice would be to find pockets of time throughout this year where you're really going to immerse yourself in nature. Not just like a little bit, not just lightly, not just like for a couple of days, but truly go into the depths of nature. Realize where you're called, like deep, deep nature. Maybe there are places that you've never been before, and carve the time and space where you will cut away all the distractions and make the time and space to be really present with the rhythms of nature in specific points of the Earth, in specific maybe sacred sites. It doesn't have to be sacred sites. It could just be some very powerful vortexes in nature where you're gonna not use your electronics, not consume any content, and just be present in the nature. I sense a very bright presence of the Pleiadian consciousness here. We have the cave, Eight of Pentacles. African plains is super interesting because we're just talking about like nature spots, and we have African plains. Some of you might legitimately need to go to Africa, whichever country that you're called. So actually, after I filmed that small little portion, I started feeling really tired and sleepy. So I actually went to sleep. This is the next morning, so don't be alarmed if everything looks a little bit different, and the energy is probably really different if you can tune into it. So actually, everything that happens during your reading is relevant to your own energy. So first of all, I need to remind you to follow your own rhythm. You may have a mental picture of how everything needs to unfold to get somewhere, but the destination or the portal of your destination, because there's no ever final destination. Our experience of reaching somewhere always opens up to a new path. So whichever path that you are actually taking now that is going to get you further in your journey is not something that is going to align with how you mentally think is going to get you there. So when you have your own rhythm, when you follow your own energy, it has an intelligent way of weaving itself to where it wants to go. When you follow your heart and your soul, instead of what you think you should do and how you think you should spend your time. And maybe it's going to take longer than you think it should, but when you really listen to the intelligence of the universe that is weaved into your actual body, first of all, when you listen to your body, your cells are intelligent. The fabric of your being is intelligent. So don't try to go through this strict schedule of how you think things should turn out, or even the way that your manifestations progress. It's like you have this whole picture about when things should happen in order to get somewhere, but where you're actually headed is so far beyond what you think is going to get you there. So listen to the intelligence of your intuition and your body. And for you, it's really about deconditioning from this kind of productivity, or even just the time construct that has been conditioned into you from an early age. If you look at this society, basically everyone is forced to perceive time in such a quantitative way. Of course, it has a feature of quantitativeness, but it's more qualitative than anything else, and it's multidimensional. It carries multidimensional energy through the time continuum. So follow the own rhythm and really tune in and listen, and don't try to force yourself to do things or make decisions that clearly are not ripe yet. You know, when a fruit is ripe, you can tell when the fruit is ripe. For most cases, for example, like an avocado, trying to force yourself to make a decision or trying to force yourself to take actions that is clearly not ripe is like trying to eat an unripe avocado. Have you tried that? It's gonna taste like, I don't even think you could break it open, you know? So just remember the analogy of the avocado. All right, let's go into it. And weaving this into the earth and the nature elements of the dragon that you chose, it speaks about really getting in tune with the rhythms of nature and the intelligence of nature. And what you're going to actually learn from nature is the way that nature responds to the greater intelligence of the cycles of the universe. So nature is constantly listening and is vibrating to the overall harmonic energetics of the greater whole. And so what you're going to learn to do from nature, not only with the healing frequencies that nature has to offer, but you're going to really condition yourself to be in tune with a greater reality. So this would really, again, mean taking some time out, even a few days out of a month, to really immerse yourself. It could be once a couple of months at least, where you go in and unplug from your usual matrix of reality, whatever that matrix is. Even if you live an abnormal life where it's not like a traditional 9 to 5, you still have the normal reality that you're used to. So break away from that matrix by scheduling in time where you're going to just sit in nature and do things that you're not usually doing, and or have the time to dedicate to practices that are not often integratable into daily reality. Like, imagine if you just take design your own retreat. You don't have to attend another person's retreat. You can just design it for yourself and choose a facet of soul evolution that you would like to focus on, and design your own little getaway or this own little introspective retreat. We have Ascension, Beloved, Prudence, Stoicism, Sage, and the Stand. There's definitely the ending of a cycle that you are witnessing here at this time. So in this cycle of time, in this dragon year right now, is actually the ending of a very profound cycle that you have lived thus far. I would have actually even see this as almost like over a decade, since a decade ago, or it could even be a couple of decades. And how does that apply to you is based on your own energetic structure. I definitely feel you releasing a lot of triggers, and I see this trigger coming from, a lot of it is coming from your resentment towards your father line. So whether it was your father or generations beyond that, there's just a general sense of trigger or repressed emotions that you're releasing around your father's line. And they could have been very withdrawn. And this is pretty cliche that the father could be withdrawn, but it seems like either your father was withdrawn from emotional connection or emotional expression, or the father had resentment around their father's being withdrawn. So there's this kind of trigger that you're releasing around this. And in any case, circling back to the ending of a cycle, it feels like you're now really dipping your toes into the new playground. Like you're in a brand new playground, whether you realize that, and I feel like you could actually feel it. It's not the same playground that you were playing in for the past decade. You're in a new set of rule sets, and you have new habits, you have new tendencies, and I see you shedding old habits, and you may still experience echoes of these old habits, but it seems that your habits and your perpetual thought patterns are actually shifted. It's not even like they're shifting, it's like they're shifted. And you're witnessing the final stages where you're watching the rest of it unravel. So it's kind of like this strange process of witnessing your life move on, and everything is already wired. The new version of yourself is already wired. And sometimes it is so real that when there's like these waves of like, there's this new version of yourself and the past version of yourself, and it's weaving in and out, dipping in and out of those two states. And yet the reality and the playground that you are now stepping into is deeply rooted and anchored in the new aspect of yourself. So be curious as to how that unfolds, and notice that when the older version of you arises, it's almost like a shadow. I mean, in terms of, it's like a facade, it's a mirage rather than a very tangible frequency. You can feel when a frequency is truly present versus when it is projected. For example, in your own field, you know when a thought is being generated from your own circuitry versus when it is projected from another person. So you could feel when your energy is being intruded from other people's emotions. For example, when you go out into the public and you feel a bunch of emotions that are not originally from your field, it bothers you, right? Because you can feel the difference between a projected energy versus your own energy. Similar to that, you have this new version of yourself that has deeply rooted into this new playground that you're on, with new rules and with new frequencies, new habits. And then you have the past version of yourself and those frequencies that are kind of weaving in and out and fading out of your new playground. What I see is that sometimes it feels real, the projected energy, but just be mindful of when the projected energy arises, it's projected. Notice that it's not as real as it once used to be, but it may feel real at times because it used to be so real in the past. So that's that. Let me see. Have patience while this new version of you really solidifies. Become detached to the experience of all of this. And what this is going to also teach you is to not be so attached to the experience of being a self, because you're going to see the underlying independent variable of your awareness through these transitions. And I don't actually see that you've ever had this drastic change of your core experience of self. Somehow you've managed to pull in this quantum leap of yourself from literally like another universe. And you've done this in a way that you really worked on this. Like you really worked on pulling in this new version of yourself, but at the same time, it feels like you've been doing all the work, but this was always kind of faded, if that makes sense. But even if something is actually destined and fated, you'll always still have the experience of you working towards it, because that's just the nature of this, the energy of being human, is that your mind will always wrap itself around whatever it is going through to try to make sense of it. In your brain actually constructs a narrative to everything that is going on and try to make a rational explanation of what is going on and try to make it kind of understandable to your individuated experience. And this does that quite creatively. It's actually in neuroscience, where the brain will truly like wrap itself around something that has happened, and the speed at which it does it is actually delayed from the event itself, but it'll latch on to try to make sense of it. It's actually fascinating and it's cute, but when you look at it from a perspective of existential reality, it can become really toxic that the brain does that. So as long as you understand that, and as long as you see the limitations of that mind, and I feel like it's almost, you're growing out of your mind. Like you are growing past your mind, and the mind is becoming so constrictive. It's like becoming, it feels like you're like, when if you're growing up, like when you're at still a development stage, you know how your feet size change. I mean, when you hit adulthood, your feet don't grow anymore for the most part. But when you're a child, your feet will continue to grow. You need a new shoe size. Like you have shoes that just don't fit anymore because you're growing out of it. The shoes are a metaphor to your mind. The construct of your mind, you're really growing out of it. So there's like this new formation of a mind that you are kind of beginning to dip into, yet you don't really understand it yet because you're still looking at it from the previous lens of the previous mind, trying to understand what is this new mind that is kicking in. Like what does it do? How does it work? How does it function? And it's kind of like, I see you dipping in and out of that new mind, and it's not something that, it's already pre-existent. It's a higher dimensional mind. Basically, it's a higher dimensional mind. It's a higher dimensional interface. And it's not like you had to design that or craft that. There's no way you could craft that. That's from the universe. Like that's from universal intelligence. Yet for you, you must have had the experience of actually building this stage. You must have had the experience of like, I worked so hard on my meditation, my spiritual evolution, on my belief systems, my subliminals. And yeah, it led you to kind of comprehend why all of this is happening. It kind of created a permission slip that you can experience all of this and it still makes sense to your conscious mind without being blast open to the multiple infinite possibilities of how these quantum shifts can happen. But really, you're just dipping into the higher dimension of the mind. And for some while, you're gonna realize that you've outgrown the previous mind. Could be a jarring experience. Nobody teaches you how to grow out of the limited mind. There's no instructions, but what you can feel safe with is that this new dimension of the mind will catch you. It's a safety net. Even if you lose that previous part of your mind, this new level of the mind will catch you. You can trust it. And whenever you find yourself stuck in this entrapment of the previous stages of the mind, just notice how it makes you feel and regulate your nervous system. That's all that you got to do, whatever it takes. And understand that this is a very high level metamorphosis. So give yourself the nurturance, give yourself the rest. Just like how I started filming your reading and I just couldn't do it. I was like, I need to sleep. Sleep is medicinal. And that's maybe what you need to do. Maybe you really need to sleep. I want you to really prioritize the quality of your sleep. I don't know like your entire situation, obviously, but make sure you have great bedding, like a good mattress, good bedding, good linens, and a quiet environment where you can sleep. If you don't have that, like if you live amongst traffic and if you live with a bed that is uncomfortable, please do your best to change those circumstances, because sleep is one of the best investments, and improving the quality of your sleep is one of the best investments you can make. I feel some of you actually are going to experience, or currently are experiencing, frustration around like the energy flow of like the life force of your flow. So please tune into your body and notice how that extraneous life force energy that is going to liberate itself is what's going to happen when you're operating from a very scattered, denser level of the mind, and then you kind of reach into a higher level of the mind. You're gonna have access to so much more life force energy than before, because the lower level of the mind, it consumes a lot of life force to maintain itself. It runs all this scattered energy, it wastes so much energy. And once you are delving into this higher spectrum of the mind that feels like so profound yet natural, you're gonna have access to a lot of high quality energy. And at first you might not know what to do with that, or you might become frustrated because it's like all this pent up energy just kind of purging itself out into this channel. And you've never had this level of energy since you were a child. Like, you're gonna have a burst of new energy. So look at that immense growth, quantum leap, opportunity, surrender to receive, tame and attain, nourishment while waiting. We have 2 cards around patience. So it feels like, my gosh, it feels like patience is one of your most annoying lessons in your whole life. Like, you've had to be patient, you've had to wait, and you're finally coming around to a point where you master patience. And literally, as I say you mastered patience, there's a part of your mind that literally just sparked up and said, I don't want to master patience because that means I have to wait longer. Relax. Because once you actually master patience, time is not going to be of an obstacle. Like, it's ironic that when you're actually embodying this true essence of patience, time becomes something so malleable. So patience, actually, it seems like you're gonna have to wait for patience, but when you have the energy of patience, things just start to warp around an accelerated path. But you just have resistance to the idea of waiting. You have resistance around the idea of patience. And it's something that you had to learn anyway. I bet you, even if you didn't want to learn patience, I mean, who wants to learn patience? Like, sounds like one of the most boring lessons of all time. Like, who really wants to learn patience? But you'll see the magic of actually mastering the essence of patience. The essence of patience has nothing to do with time. The essence of patience is just the level of your devotion to see through something regardless of what it takes. It's just like this undying devotion, which is sincerity, is actually the precise word that I want to say about the essence of patience. Is genuine sincerity, not beating around the bush, not just for the delusional like facade of things, but really literally being sincere and devoted to the truth and the path. So, well, another aspect of this is acceptance, just being willing to accept what it takes. And there's another part of you that will just spring up and say, I don't want to accept everything because I have standards. And to that, I'll have to say, it's trusting yourself and the universe to navigate through whatever is in the way by seeing the truth of reality. So when it comes to your life force energy that we spoke about, all this excess life force energy, you're gonna need to really tame and attain the extra life force energy that is going to liberate itself through all this new energy that you now have access to, all these new resources. And as this life force arises, this is actually going to also materialize in so many different ways. Not only are you going to have more time, actually, more energy, more motivation, you're going to have more resources such as money, and you're going to create a system wherein you're going to actually create a very crystalline and flexible boundaries around taming and attaining that life force energy. So you can tune into yourself, you can create a way in which you navigate through this, and there's no blueprint to it, there's no instructions, but you're gonna learn how to follow your heart and follow your intuition to tame and attain these new energies, these new influx of energies. And the final piece of this seems to be to surrendering to receive. There's an opportunity that is opening up, but you have no idea that it's around the corner. You literally don't see this happening. You don't know what this opportunity is, but I see this happening a few months into the dragon year, could be even like just a couple of months, where an opportunity is going to show up and you had no idea that this was even possible. And this opportunity seems to open up a floodgate of new resources, opens up a floodgate of energy that you're gonna learn to manage. And there's a part of you that's literally frightened, just thinking like, how am I gonna handle all of this? But you actually are more than ready. As long as you know how to follow your intuition, as long as you know how to listen to the divine intelligence, as long as you know how to listen to your higher self and your soul and your heart, that's the only skill set that is required to navigate through any situation, universally. So I actually see you transcending the fear that you have around being seen, which is a really big theme. You have a lot of Christ consciousness energy, also like the Buddha awareness consciousness, and essentially you've had many lifetimes where you've already ascended. So that's not a surprise, and it's not coming from any place of ego. It's just, it is what it is, and it comes with an equal amount of responsibilities for you to actually live through this embodiment incarnation. Like, I'm sure you're having a lot of fun with that. But you're going to transcend your fear of being seen. And of course, with that comes a lot of purging around all these ancestral timelines where it's like most human incarnations are terrified of being seen for who they are. And also in your own lifetime, getting through the trauma of having been seen in the past and being scrutinized for it, being criticized, or being ridiculed for who you are. And this, after all of those lessons have been learned, at this point, whatever you have to share with the world is in divine service to the world. Whereas before, the things that you were expressing were not necessarily in alignment with the collective divine service that you're going to be performing at this time. So when it comes to channeling that divine service, you are absolutely protected. This is a card of divine protection. The work that you're putting out is divinely protected, and you are divinely protected as you step into the kind of like spotlight of being seen for what you do, for your gifts, your abilities, and notice that difference that it makes, that you have this support, and notice the pathway that you can construct in stepping through things that you fear. When you have a fear towards something, notice that the fear energy actually has another angle to it. The fear energy has another dimensionality that is actually excitement. Whatever you are afraid of, there's always like a tint of excitement in the same fractal. So focus on the excitement and develop courage, because courage is the energy that's gonna get you through, and you're cultivating courage as part of this energy that is related to patience. Somehow you're developing these very innate qualities of this human incarnation, and you've been working for this for lifetimes actually, to be able to harness all of these high quality archetypes of energy, of character traits like courage, like patience, through all of these incarnations that you had previously. So it all clicks together at this time. Surrender to receive what is happening. Surrender to receive all of the blessings that are happening. And I see you really taking action that is stemming out of enlightenment. Actions that are stemming out of enlightenment. Notice when you are guided to take action, when you're just blindly taking action versus when you're divinely guided to take certain actions. And just focus on taking action when you know that it is divinely aligned out of enlightenment versus when you're just blatantly trying to do things. When things are divinely aligned, when things are stemming out of a state of consciousness that is pristine, and when you're taking action that is in alignment with that higher level of consciousness and that higher mind, it's like 1,000 times more effective than, for example, when you take one action that is divinely aligned versus when you take 100 actions when it's not divinely aligned. Guess what's way more powerful? One divinely aligned action is 1,000 times more powerful than like 100 egoic actions. So think twice before you act, and just discern, is it divine or divinely aligned? Is it stemming out of the higher mind versus it is stemming out of my egoic mind? And it's fine to take actions that are driven by the egoic mind. It's fine. But you're gonna slowly shift the parameter as to how much you act out of enlightened consciousness versus ego. Where does it arise? All right. That was a beautiful reading. Thank you so much for spending time with me. If you enjoy my transmissions and my frequencies, you can check out my Patreon, where I have literally hundreds of exclusive readings, activations, and healing sessions. And I'll see you in the next reading. Bye. Hello, pile number 3. If you chose the pink dragon, this is actually the dragon from Andromeda. And with that comes a flood of new information, frequencies, and energies about your incarnation. First of all, the vibe around this pink Andromedan dragon is a glow up, like a physical glow up. And no physical glow up is separate from a mental and emotional and spiritual glow up. So you're gonna see that your physical vessel starts to really shift and blossom into genuine beauty from the inside out through this portal. And you're gonna find yourself really expressing your true colors, both in your incarnation, but also as like your creative expression. So you'll find yourself being interested in different art forms, different creative expressions that you perhaps haven't delved into before, or you may just find yourself sparking an interest in a creative endeavor that you used to care about before, but was too afraid to really pursue it. But you're able to really focus on that with this newfound confidence and this newfound attitude around it, where you're not doing it for the results, but you're expressing yourself for the sake of expression. So there's that. Let's go into your cards, see what wants to come through. I feel this very pristine angelic energy, and also like your heart energy really upgrading. The angelic energy, let me sense where this is coming from. They're like obviously Andromeda, Andromedan angelic energy, and also this is Lemurian. Okay, I see this Lemurian angel energy, and interestingly, Lemurian energy is very clear on the science of rejuvenation. So this is rejuvenation, first of all, on a physical level, where you're going to start to rejuvenate like your skin cells much more holistically, your hair, your nails, like your eyesight even, or your digestive system. There's going to be a lot of repairing that goes on with your physical vessel as you rejuvenate. And this peace, peace is a science of Lemurian technology. And I know that sounds like a little bit weird, like what do you even mean? But it's just it's just a frequency that is emitted from what I'm saying here. Peace is the science of Lemurian technology. Peace is a state of being that you've mastered in your Lemurian time cycles. And it's this kind of stability that is crafted through the changing chaos of the environment. When you cultivate this science of peace, and when you even tune into the Lemurian science of peace, it creates this auric technology in your field that kind of really calibrates and crystallizes the scatter of energy that is being affected from the environment, that stabilizes you in your core truth. So peace is something that you're genuinely upgrading throughout this year. I also see your posture changing, your posture, your third eye upgrading. Your posture change is directly correlated to your third eye and your pineal gland's activity, because your posture, like your spine and the adjustment of your spine, but it's not just your posture, but it's also like your limbs, like the extension of your limbs and your, even like your hands. For example, if you're doing yoga asana, say that you're in a trikonasana or the triangle pose, a lot of people like extend their hand out and it's just like limp like this, or it's just awkward and they're just doing the pose. But when you extend your hand like straight up, it opens up the channel to flow through. And I learned this from, well, first of all, experience and multiple different teachers of the asanas that I've worked with, that adjust even the slightest details of the hand posture, or even like your wrist, or the intention that you're pulling around your body, like to the details. It opens up an entire new circuitry or the template of your body. So I see you like really calibrating through your posture, through your limbs, even just the energy that you carry in your body. You're in touch with the energetic flow of your body, so that you're able to sense, like even if you just sit in another corner of the room in a specific posture versus like, I don't know, you just feel you getting really attuned to the physical dimension and your physical body. Cacao is going to be extremely helpful for you, because the guides had me make a cup of cacao just before this channeling, and it's so powerful what it does. Makes sense though, because I said your heart is going through a wide opening, and cacao is one of the plants that assist in the heart chakra beyond imagination. Like cacao really works with your heart field. And of course there are other medicines, plant medicines that work with your heart field, but I mean, cacao is accessible and it's legal everywhere in the world. So let's go into your reading. They're saying how the peace that you're cultivating, like really accumulating, you know, building up in your solar plexus, and it's gonna improve your digestion, and it's going to improve your sleep, and it's going to improve like your pH levels. Like, it's so interesting how they're getting me to go into all these little details. Let's see. You're gonna really open up to your Venusian timelines. That's where a lot of these Andromedan codes are flowing through, and that's where a lot of these glow up codes are coming through. And obviously Venusian templates have these profound lessons and these crystallization through the physical appearance, as it anchors in the divine kind of structures around how spiritual energy aligns with the physical. you're also going to heal your relationship with your body image, basically. So regardless of how you look, even if you, like, you might even have other people say that you're very beautiful, but you never felt like that. But you're going to actually transcend. And when I say transcend, I use that word with mindfulness. You're going to get through this perception around the entire physical incarnation is going to shift so that you're not really identified and attached to your physical body to the way that you used to do before. You're still nurturing it, you're still experiencing it, you're still very present with it more than ever, but you have this higher perspective of what it actually really is. And I see you actually making peace with death, which is interesting. Beyond this whole subject of mortality versus immortality and all of that, the idea of constant transitions is accumulated in the epitome of death. I mean, like, everything is always changing. We all know that. And death is almost an existential metaphor to the state of perpetual change that is a result of the nature of infinity and eternity. I mean, infinity and eternity just cannot possibly be experienced without change, because of the nature of infinity and eternity. So in any case, the reason why you're also able to make peace with death is because your heart is opening more. And when your heart opens, because your heart is the fulcrum point of all of existence, you're gonna meet your significant counterpart this year. I see a lot of you actually being single and you don't have a partner, but you're gonna meet your divine union. I have multiple cards signaling to this divine union. I totally just skipped the explanation of how the heart is a fulcrum point to all of eternity. And when you understand, like, you embody that, you cannot actually understand the heart. It's not understandable because understanding is the logic. But you're gonna really embody and tune into the heart. You're gonna allow that to emit every single alignment through your life. And when that happens, when you're really in the heart, you're gonna make peace with any field of change. You're gonna make peace with any field of the unknown, because you are centered in the heart, which is actually the balancing point of any possibility, any probability, and any timelines. So if you already have a partner, and this is your divine partner, then you're actually going to begin a process of creation together of this soul mission. This is a year that is going to actually kickstart and make sense and start to really crystallize. If you're single, you're going to meet somebody. This feels almost like a certainty. And to actually get there, it's interesting because I know a lot of people go through these certainty phases where you meet someone and you're kind of really sure that they are your partner, that your divine union. And sometimes you have to go through multiple stages of that to release anything that is not in alignment with actually aligning with the true, genuine partner. So when you have this feeling like this is the divine union, it's actually because the lessons that you're going to learn requires that you go all in. And if you didn't think that about the partner, that they were your divine union, if you didn't think or feel that they were your divine union, likely you're not going to go all in. Likely you're not going to blast open your heart. You're going to have some sort of boundary. So sometimes it's a prerequisite to actually do the work that you need to do for the divine union template, is to mistakenly believe that the other person was your divine union, and thus you go all in, thus you open your whole heart, and then you encounter the lessons, and then maybe you learn all the lessons, and then that person's not it. Well, you had to go all in order to really prepare for the actual divine union. But you're actually going to prepare for I had 3 cards like this with the couples. The other one I kind of put away, but yeah. there's a holy, sacred, soulmate connection, romantic opportunity. And this is not just going to be intimate, but this is going to be intimate. I mean, like, there's a certain intimate partner that is coming into your life. And this is going to blow your mind. It's going to blow your mind how much this person actually elevates you, empowers you. And it's going to blow your mind how this union dynamic has a life of its own. It's gonna be so unlike any other relationships that you had in the past. It's gonna be breaking all of your paradigms, and you're gonna grow so much from this. But on the other hand, this entire dynamic has a life of its own. You're gonna see that this union, it just blatantly is for the greater good of the collective and for each of your evolution. Okay, we have Hanuman, devoted warrior. Lady Nada, there's the Venusian energy. This is the first time this card has ever come out from this whole deck. And look at that, expanded heart. Exactly the message. And then last we have Mother Mary, miraculous encounter, divine experiences. Do not be afraid of being powerful. So it seems that you're gonna unlock a level of power that's kind of frightening. Like, this new consciousness that you're gonna begin to tap into, sometimes you're gonna feel so expansive, and this reality that is literally starting to materialize is gonna feel so, it's gonna feel almost foreign to your consciousness, that it feels overwhelming. But what you're gonna remember is that when you center into your heart, any overwhelming experience, any level of expansion, when you're in your heart genuinely, it has a way of crystallizing itself to a relevant, digestible field that is comfortable with your vessel. When you're out of the heart center, all of that expansive energy can whirl you, and it's going to be like a storm. But when you're in your heart center, it creates the eye of the storm within the shifts and the changes and the drastic fields of frequencies. There's a lot of expansion coming up. And again, this divine union too, I feel like you're going to feel this overwhelming love that you potentially didn't feel for anyone in your whole life. And what's interesting though too is, even though you've never felt this towards anyone in your whole life, maybe towards yourself, but not to anybody, maybe towards your higher self, actually, what they're saying is that the divine love that you have to the divine, the devotion and the love that you have for the true, genuine source of creation and the universe as a whole, becomes personified into a dynamic. So actually you have felt this love, but it was towards God or goddess, for the lack of a better term, or it was towards your higher self. But you've never felt this towards a person. But the reason why you're able to access this is because, first of all, you have this direct channel with your higher self, and you are loving the higher self of the other because they have a direct opening to their higher self, and you are divinely orchestrated to share. So I see this partner actually having a high level of consciousness to match yours. And that's also why you're able to access this level of love, because both of you have this high pristine level of consciousness, and with that enables this divine love. Before this, you probably never had a relationship where your partner or your counterpart had this level of consciousness. So it makes sense why the love wouldn't be on this level. Let me read into some other oracles. Okay, let me go into... Nice. We have the prosperity card, wealth, contentment, abundance. So you're really activating through wealth consciousness. And I see this energy actually also streaming from Venusian energy. And this Venusian energy with genuine divine abundance, luxury, and beauty that naturally surrounds itself through genuine prosperity comes authentic beauty in the environment, in the frequencies, in the expressions. We have burrow, exhaustion, questioning, motivations, realignment, and apprentice, higher self, higher education, beliefs, wisdom, and time. So time has been a recurring theme for all three piles. Seems like through this dragon portal, the essence of time is calibrating itself around the level of consciousness that you have been cultivating. So be prepared to break all the paradigms you have around time and be prepared to welcome in a new aspect of time, a new rule set, new belief systems, new relationship with time. Super, super interesting. And how you anchor into different timelines, how you align with different timelines. There's like a complete new way that time is going to start interacting with your energy, with your field. And it's interesting, especially with your divine union, right? You're going to cultivate this new template of time, because once you start working with this individual, this divine union individual, and start to spend time together, because this other individual is weaving together facets of consciousness that were connected with you on higher levels, and you're rendering these pieces of information on this current plane, it's going to amplify and really warp the time continuum to, first of all, accelerate multiple different timelines that have been on hold. Yet it is actually, wow. I see this purging through a lot of different projections of other people being interested in you. It's interesting because I don't even think you act like they exist because you're not interested. But it's asking you to continue to draw the boundaries of other people's attention and energy where you don't want it. You've done a great job at blocking those energies out. It's funny. But be more aware of it so that you can actually honor the process of genuine boundaries. I see you doing this unconsciously anyway, where you're blocking out other people's interest and attention, and just other people trying to get a piece of you. But when you can acknowledge it consciously, it's gonna make it more powerful. I want to go into this burrow card because I feel that you're going to begin to, first of all, take a lot of rest right now. There's so much energy moving that you need to take a rest and do what it takes to prioritize your rest. And how can you support yourself to receive the rest that is required for you to process all of this? If you don't rest enough, you might even get sick because you need to rest, right? So you might as well make it easier for yourself and do the resting before you get sick. I see you questioning your own motivations for everything. You're gonna take the time to actually, you have all these motivations and you have these goals and you have these things that you're willing to accomplish, and these have always been divinely directed, but I see you scanning through all of your actions, all of your thoughts, all of your intentions, all of your motivations, and really tuning in to what is behind these motivations. And you're gonna begin to realign everything so that even if you're actually going for the same things, even if you're actually aligning with the same decisions, you're going to recalibrate the back end of why you're doing these things, and realigning your motivations to the highest frequency. And all this is actually like doing a 360 in your energy field. And I see you like forgiving a lot of people through this process because you simply see the efficiency of forgiving them. It doesn't actually have to be like anything other than you realizing that it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it to hold resentment. You know, it doesn't matter like why you're doing it, as long as you're doing it when it comes to this forgiveness. Obviously, it depends on the context of what things are that I'm speaking about when I say it doesn't matter exactly why you're doing it. But when it comes to forgiveness, it's fine to just forgive people because it's not worth it to not. It's really not worth it energetically to not forgive them. So it doesn't have to be like because you feel like you want to have a harmonious dynamic and you want to see that they didn't do anything wrong. It's not like that. It's just forgive them because it's just the best thing to do. It's just not even worth your energy, right? And for some people, you need to hear that because there are some people that you're like holding off from completely forgiving because you don't really see a like point. Sorry, it might sound strange, but you might know exactly what I mean. There's just like these people, it's like they're completely annoying, or they've actually done things that are just really out of alignment, and you know that forgiveness is beneficial. You know that it's going to help you move forward and release all the burdens. But honestly, when it comes to this, it's like, treat it like your dietary patterns. If you are looking to improve your dietary patterns and you want to stop eating processed foods, it doesn't matter why you're going to stop eating the processed foods. Like, you don't need the most spiritual reason why. It's not like because that's going to purify my system and blah, blah, blah. Okay, even if the reason is just really shallow, like if you stop eating processed foods, you're not going to feel bloated after. You're not going to lack energy after. As long as you stop, it's fine. Just, you don't need the highest level reason. And same with this forgiveness. It doesn't matter if it's like coming from the most spiritual reason why you're going to forgive these people. That I see like a few people in your field where you're going to like really forgive and let go. And some of them are not even that significant. It's like you're so over them and all of that. But it doesn't have to come from the most spiritual reason, but it's just like, because it's going to make you feel better when you do. It's just going to make your overall mood more uplifted. Your frequency is just going to get lighter. Just like the not eating processed foods. Having resentment is like eating constantly a bunch of processed foods and MSG. That's going to make you feel sluggish. So forgive, just for the sake of this, just for the sake of it. Okay, let me tune in. There's one more card. It's Trinity, balancing decisions, priorities, adapting to change. So again, there's a card around adapting to change. There's a huge change in your field. Like, you know, you're likely going to move places. You might be traveling. You might be moving like careers. You might be like, you're literally moving though. Like your entire identity is shifting. And I feel like for some people, even like their entire fabric of their North Star or their purpose or their mission itself is completely changing to a new level. So remember what I said about the heart. As long as you're in the heart, as long as you cultivate the peace, all of the change will crystallize into a comfortable format for you to navigate through. And I'm not saying that it's going to be completely all comfortable, but it's going to be like going into the ocean just on a surfboard versus like a yacht. Like, which one is more comfortable? Seriously, do yourself a favor and be in your heart and cultivate the peace, and you'll find yourself in the yacht, even though you're transitioning. You're gonna have a comfortable, good time. All right. Awesome. I hope this reading has been helpful. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoy my readings, please check my Patreon where I have hundreds of exclusive readings and activations and healing sessions. And I'll see you in the next reading. Thank you. Bye.